Now, this journey for me has not been linear. After you heal from one thing, you find out you got some most healing to do. She came to me and she said, you have to talk about this. How can we navigate breaking this cycle if it's not being talked about? In our community, Black families don't really talk. It's kind of like when you're accustomed to something or when you're used to something, it's kind of hard to get out of your own way because that's what you're used to and it's worked for you. But that don't mean it's gonna work for the future generation. And sometimes they need you to get out of the way so that we all can heal. Some people are scared of the outcome from doing the work. If they don't want to do the work with you, just do the work for you. Welcome to O.U.C.H Podcast. I am your host, Kay Simone. And before we even get started, I just want to thank you for joining us today, y'all. This has been well overdue. 6 years overdue. And I just want to thank anybody that clicked on this video, anybody that joined before we even dropped. I appreciate you so much. This is something I've been working on for a very long time, but fear sometimes gets in the way, and God just has to reroute you to what you're supposed to be doing. So thank you so much for tuning in. Before we even get into the segment for today, I want to explain to y'all what O.U.C.H is. First of all, O.U.C.H stands for Open Up, Understand, Change, Heal. It's a podcast, well, it's a program that's meant for not just me or not just you, but all of us. It's a way of just navigating us through healing and just guiding us through the process and through the works of everything healing, okay? We're going to talk about deep stuff. We're going to open up about some mental health, some traumas. We're going to open up, but we also are going to understand and we're going to communicate and we're going to heal from it. Now, this journey for me has not been linear. I'm in a much better place, I would like to say, but I have not, like, healing after you heal from one thing, you find out you got some most healing to do. So I just want to take y'all through the rest of this journey with me while also helping people and giving y'all tips that help me along the way as well. So a little backstory of what our mission is. Y'all will see me looking down from time to time because I am a person, if you follow my other channel, I kind of get off task a little bit. I go out in the woods on a topic, so I don't want to do that with us. So you'll see me glancing down just to stay on track. Our mission for O.U.C.H is to be a safe place to break generational silence, unhidden wounds. We got to unpack them and to embrace healing. The backstory of O.U.C.H for me is when I was in the mental health, the first time I ever went to the mental health hospital, I had a dream, and I'm going to get into the dream later on in this segment, but I ended up calling my dad and I had the idea of O.U.C.H and I told him about the idea, and at first I had no name for it, honestly and truly. I just knew that I, in that space felt a little bit uncomfortable. I was the youngest person there and I just felt out of place. So initially I wanted to create a program for people in my age category, and then as we talked about it, it kind of branched into a more of not just singling out just young people, but all of us together as a collective healing. And he came up with the name O.U.C.H because y'all know O.U.C.H is an expression of pain. And yeah, now we're here 6 years later. So today's topic, it's not deep. Like, I didn't want the first episode to go so deep that you stray away from the podcast. But we are going to just deep dive in some things that I feel need to be talked about for sure. So the topic for today is going to be very complex, very impactful, but it's going to open our eyes to some things that we probably never really talked about, if that makes sense. So our topic today is breaking the cycle of intergenerational traumas within families. Before we get into it, of course, I'm going to give y'all a book definition of what intergenerational trauma is so that we all have an understanding. And then I'm going to open up about just a little something that kind of opened my eyes to intergenerational trauma. So intergenerational trauma refers to the idea that experiences of trauma or hardship can be passed down from one generation to the next, affecting the mental health and well-being of future generations to come. So that's the definition meaning. But I'm going to open up about the dream that I was talking about earlier in the introduction. When I was in the mental health hospital that first time, I had a dream about my grandmom. Now, I've never met my grandmom on my dad's side. She passed away when my dad was a little kid. But when I had a dream, she came to me and she said, you have to talk about this. Now, at the time, I didn't understand it. I didn't know what she wanted me to talk about, but I know that after expressing to my dad about the vision that I had of starting out, I ended up calling him and we talked about it. And he ended up telling me like, yeah, your grandma suffered really bad with her mental health too. So it made me think about like the genetic parts of it. Like, yes, our traumas are not the same, but like just the fact that we have people in our generations before who've experienced trauma and never really talked about it, I felt like it's something that we need to open up about. How can we navigate breaking this cycle if it's not being talked about? And also, just even on my mom's side, I went to drop the kids off a couple days ago, and I just sat and I talked to my grandma for a very long time, and she was just telling me how she suffered with her mental health, how she was hospitalized, and all these things that I just never knew. And I feel like if we talked about more of those things, not necessarily like just, forcing people to talk about it, but if we were more open to talking about it, it would help us, our future generations, to, know how to navigate through or just look for the signs, if that makes sense. Breaking the cycles require effort to acknowledge, effort to address the root causes of our family's trauma. Tough conversations provide us the opportunity to heal, to understand, and to ultimately break free from these destructive patterns. Like I just said, communicating. Having tough talks is hard, I get it, but we have to have those deep conversations. I feel like it's so necessary today, especially like for us to get out of our own way and just have those difficult talks. So we're going to talk about that. Like, we're going to talk about having them talks. We're going to talk about having them difficult talks. We're going to talk about it, okay? We're going to get into it. So my first bullet point that I wanted to discuss is having those deep conversations will allow us to openly and honestly address the underlying issues passed down. So for me, it's like, in our community, Black families don't really talk. They live by this myth of, I don't have to talk about my feelings. I didn't grow up talking about my feelings. Or they grew up in the myth of, it's disrespectful to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's very, very small-minded. I feel like we have to get ourselves out of that way of thinking. Because just because just because you did the best that you could does not mean that you can like minimize someone else's healing or someone else's pain or someone else's journey to heal. Like, you cannot minimize that based upon you feeling that you did all that you could do. So I really, 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 like, we have to have them deep conversations. I know it's hard, and I know it's kind of like when you're accustomed to something or when you're used to something, it's kind of hard to get out of your own way because that's what you're used to and it's worked for you. But that don't mean it's going to work for the future generation. And sometimes they need you to get out of the way so that we all can heal. The second one I want to discuss is discussing the individual traumas. I feel like, side note, don't do this while you're drinking. A lot of my journey has been me discussing my individual traumas, but only when I'm intoxicated. Do not do this while you're drinking. That's besides what we finna get into. But please, 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 if you're going to discuss the individual traumas, you have to discuss it with a clear mind, no substances, okay? I feel like when you discuss the individual traumas, it gives us an insight on why a person is the way that they are, or why they believe what they believe, or why their relationships are operated the way that their relationships are operated, you know? And I also feel like it'll create like this self-awareness for all of us, and it can free us from those broken cycles, you know? Like, it could give us a clearer understanding, if that makes sense. But I do want to talk about why it's so hard. Before I even get into my third one, I do want to talk about why it's so hard for us to even talk about those individual traumas in our community. I know for my family, it was very hard because a lot of times, like, people don't want to be, like, people want to be seen perfect. I'm going to just lay it straight out. People want to be seen perfect. It's nothing wrong with me. You're not going to label me on, you're not going to put this label on me. Like, just because you're going through this don't mean, you know, I feel like some are also just reluctant to change. Like, people don't want to change. They don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to see what's wrong with them. And they don't want to, they don't want to fix what ain't in their mind broken. So just because it's broken to us, don't mean that in their mind it's broken to them. Some people don't want to fix what they feel ain't broken. And they'll say things like, oh, we ain't talk, like I said earlier, they'll say things like, we ain't talking about our feelings. We ain't do that in my household when I was growing up. Y'all just, this generation just do too much. Like, you know, they just deflect and deflect and deflect. They deflect and deflect and deflect, okay? Some become defensive about their role in the cycle. They don't like to look in that mirror, you know. It's the fear of judgment. It's the fear of rejection. It's the fear of doing the work. Some people are scared of the outcome from doing the work. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot. It's a lot of fear, and it's a lot of like selfishness from just like the way people grew up not talking, you know, like you couldn't ask questions. It was disrespectful, you know, and sometimes we have to break that. Like, I know for sure that my purpose is to break that for sure, okay? So the last and the most important of the three that I want to share is that if they don't want to do the work with you, just do the work for you. Like, I think this was the hardest thing I had to like realize in my journey, for sure. It was the hardest pill I had to swallow. A lot of people are not going to want to go deep. They're not going to want to talk at all. And some are going to, you know, ignore you, you know? When it comes to you wanting to have them tough conversations, they're going to ignore you. It's like they don't want to peel back. They don't want to peel back that Band-Aid. They don't. And you can't force it. Now, I know in the first two steps of this thing, I'm saying, you know, we have them deep conversations, but sometimes it's not going to happen that way. As bad as we want it to. It won't just be just a family dinner around the table and we all just pour it all out and now we walk away healed. Sometimes you just gonna have to do it for yourself, and that was the journey for me. It was lonely, for sure. I think the hardest part of it was knowing that the family dynamic I envisioned would probably never be, because in order for it to be, we had to do some healing. I saw patterns, I saw silence, I saw avoidance, a lot swept under the rug. It was a very, very lonely phase in my healing journey that sometimes I would just go in my closet and cry. I started setting boundaries though. I remember when I first decided to just, lock in with me in my healing journey. and breaking these cycles down on my own, I kind of like would put my phone on do not disturb, not answer. I would text. You would know I was okay. But I had to put up this like blockage, like shut out the noise of the negativity, because I had to do the work within myself, because y'all don't want to do the work. I got to do it for me. I got to do it for my kids. I have to do it for my kids. That became my why. It wasn't me mourning and wanting that family dynamic with my family, but wanting that family dynamic for my family, the one I created and the one I have coming in the future. It was that for me. That is my why. So although it was hard for me to navigate this alone, it was even more powerful, because I knew that right now, the cycles that I am choosing to break are for my kids. I can't let up. I can't quit. I can't stop. And even with all the hiccups in the road, with all the turmoil happening in my life, with all the fear, with all of the setbacks, I always resorted back to that why. Because in the beginning, the why was, I just want my family. I want a regular family. I want the family dynamic I hope for as a kid. No. When they don't want to do the work, that don't mean not to do the work. Okay? Y'all see I'm going back to my cards, because see that right there, I get to going off. Like, I get very passionate about my kids. I get to going off. But yeah, they are the reason for the journey of healing that I put myself on. They were the reason for that. They deserve a healthier family dynamic from here on out, and they will have it if it's up to me. I feel like I just really wanted to prepare y'all for that outcome too, like the outcome where it's not easy to talk or your family don't want to talk. You got to be prepared for every aspect of it, because just because we want them to hop on board, it does not mean that they will, you know. And also, like, therapy, people stray away from it. I've strayed away from it. I have had about 4 or 5 different therapists. I seen the post on Facebook one day, and it was like 100 therapists versus one counselor, and it's absolutely true. I don't know, but in each one of them, I have gained some insight and some ways to cope. So I don't just say that. I don't recommend therapy just because I'm a person that consistently go. I know that it could truly help. I'm just a little stubborn. Okay, journaling, y'all. Journaling helped me in this lonely journey of figuring this thing out by myself. I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of just journaling, and even notebooks of just me talking to God when I didn't know how. Like, sometimes the words wouldn't come out, so I had to just write it. I had to write what I felt. And crying. Find you a hiding spot in your home. Find you somewhere. For me, it's my car, and sometimes it's my closet, and sometimes it's my son's closet. But it was a lot of crying. Let the tears fall, okay? It's a part of the journey. It's okay to cry. I know they make it seem like, oh, we can't, or especially for our men. No, it's okay to cry. Go in that closet and cry. Let it out, okay? Let it out. You don't have to just hold it in. Sit in them uncomfortable truths and don't run from them, okay? I don't care how hard it get. Do not run from it. Little by little, you will notice like change. Because for me, I started showing up for me. I was going to the gym. I feel like that's when my healing really, really began, once I sat in the uncomfortable truths of everything that was happening in my life. I'm trying to make sure that my thing is still recording. Okay, we good, y'all. This is the first episode, so I'm a one-man team. I'm trying to make sure everything's still going to float. Okay, so we're gonna get into this next segment. I didn't even like identify segments, because I really just wanted to open up to y'all first and just start, because I've been scared and I've been trying to run again. But this next segment, I want to just discuss what helped me stay consistent with my healing, because the journey was I had a lot of fall offs. I had a lot of setbacks. I had a lot of drowning in that bottle. Okay. So although it was times I wanted to quit, and I just wanted to say, forget it. Healing ain't pretty, y'all. I was in a lot of pain, sitting in the dark, putting my kids to sleep at 7 o'clock, sometimes 6 o'clock, just to cry my eyes out, not having nobody to talk to. It was a lot of those moments, and remembering, like I just told y'all before, remembering my why, like why did I start in the first place, is what brought me out of a lot of those valleys. Like my daddy when I would get in the valleys, he used to always say, sit in it. That's what he said to me. He'd say, sit in it. And I learned how to sit in it for sure. And then he would say, now tell yourself, find out what got you in that valley. So he helped me a lot on my journey, I feel like, for sure. But I sat in them valleys a lot. You know, I didn't run from them, and I didn't get scared from what the feelings I was feeling. I let the feelings flow. I let them flow. And you have to let them flow. And then you have to remind yourself of your why, and you have to pick it back up. You got to. So, I don't know. You have to. I think for me, I got tired of feeling broken. I got tired of showing up for everybody and not showing up for me. I feel like that was like mostly what kept me going as well. Like instead of focusing so much on that family dynamic, I hope from my family, like I told y'all, I just focused on the one I'm trying to create for my kids, the one I want them to have in the future. I had to change the way I viewed healing for myself. Like healing for myself looked like me healing my whole family and us being happily ever after. I had to change the way I viewed that for myself. I had to change the way I even saw it for them. Like they have to want it just like I want it. And if they feel like they're okay, then they're okay. But I still have to change. I had to change the way I saw it for myself. I had to set them boundaries, like we talked about. There were still hiccups. There was a whole lot of hiccups with the boundaries. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still figuring that part out about them setting the boundaries. Because I still have hiccups with the setting of the boundaries too. But I had to do a lot of just like remembering the why. And I really want to tell somebody, like, especially if you have kids, you are enough reason to do the healing. And if you got kids, they are enough reason for you to do the work. It's hard. It's lonely. It's a very like isolating feeling. But pain comes with purpose, y'all. It comes with a lot of purpose. And sometimes when we're in it, we don't see the purpose, or when we're in it, we just feel like there is no purpose. Like, what is going on? Ain't no way. This is how life's supposed to be. Why me? Why me? But it has purpose on the other side. You just have to like push yourself to see it. Push yourself. Be delusional a little bit. For the longest, I was delusional. I would tell myself, oh, I could have been depressed last week and I feel better in the next week, and I'm like, oh, I'm healed. Like sometimes I had to be delusional. Healing it's not no put a band-aid on, it's fixed. So I just wanna, I think I'm done, y'all. I don't wanna do too much. The journey won't always start the way we hoped it would. I know when I initially started my journey, I had moved to Killeen and I tried to have a family dinner. I had moved back and I tried to have this family dinner. And it was the last day I saw my brother, who was suffering silently. So I was very adamant about my whole family healing, but I had to realize that you can't focus on that. You can't focus on none of that. You got to focus on yours. You have to focus on your healing first. And maybe one day God will reroute me back. But the only difference I can make right now is with me. And you have to be okay with that. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. I don't know how I feel about the first episode. I feel like I touched bases on everything I wanted to talk about. I don't know, maybe this was nerve-wracking for me, but we got the first episode over, and I hope it's okay. I'm so nervous. I love y'all so much, and I thank y'all so much for tuning into the O.U.C.H podcast. We will be posting videos every Thursday at 7 p.m., so I hope to see you next Thursday. I love y'all so much. And I will see you guys in the next video.